I'm Igor Kayfetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, a podcast for those who want to build a large profitable email list and make six figures from anywhere in the world. If you would like to get rich by building a large email list while helping people, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to attend a free web class I'm conducting this week to find out how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers at a profit. Secure your free seat at igor.cx. Attend this free workshop to discover an easy way to get 50 to 500 new email leads per day on complete autopilot without losing tons of money. Just go to igor.cx to attend this free web class. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kayfetz. What would you do if you were 20 years old and you learned that your father's business is quickly going under? Barely out of his teens, Anthony Morrison decided to step up to the plate and use the power of the internet to save family business by selling automotive parts online right around the time when the country was recovering from post-hurricane havoc and people were actively looking for auto parts on the internet. Anthony quickly pulled his father's business from its knees and rose to become a multi-millionaire with his very first online business venture. Since then, Anthony's life has exponentially exploded, putting him on the fast track to tens of millions of dollars working from home. Since then, he authored the best-selling book, The Hidden Millionaire, was featured on CNN, had articles written about him in the Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, and Home Business Magazine. He did it all, from selling parts to flipping domains to selling insurance leads to affiliate marketing to conducting live events. He's the LeBron James of internet marketing. He's the man with the Midas Click. Anthony, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me.
So I have to ask, just like I mentioned in the intro, you've got the Midas Click, right, which is the internet version of the Midas Touch. And I'm curious, and I'm sure many of our listeners are curious, what's your big secret?
Oh, gosh, man, I've never been told I had the Midas Click before now. I don't know that there's necessarily one specific secret. I think for me, when I was getting started with this, you mentioned back when my dad, he lost his life savings in the stock market, and I was going to medical school. I really didn't have any desire to be doing any of this. This was never my plan, right? And so I think one of the biggest things for me, thinking back to then, and like, what am I implementing today that I was implementing then, and what is my mindset today that I had then? Like, from when I didn't have a business at all and I was brand new, just starting off, to today after all of the success and the things that we've done. And I think the biggest thing is educating myself. I always educated myself, and also not being scared of what it is that I don't know, right? And I think that's the biggest problem most people have. They want to be X, but since they don't know a whole lot about X, they don't ever go for it, right? And so for me, in my first book, The Hidden Millionaire, the one that you mentioned that I wrote back really when I first started, one of the principles to becoming an entrepreneur was having no fear and not letting fear guide your life. And I think that's probably the most important thing. And my biggest secret is I've never been scared to go after what I want. I've never been scared or felt like, I couldn't figure it out or I wasn't good enough. I've just always had this mindset of not can I do it, but how am I going to do it? And I think if people start thinking that way and you approach business that way, you have a lot more success.
Yeah, but you have to recognize how difficult that is and how uncommon that is for someone to have either no fear or little fear when it comes to stepping outside of their comfort zone. Because even top performers that I talk to, they're usually good at one thing. And once they get good at that one thing, they stick to that one thing forever, even if their business is tanking, they're losing everything, they're still refusing to step outside their comfort zone, go into a new thing because of that very same fear that you mentioned. So what would be the key then to either minimize it or get rid of that fear of the unknown?
You make a good point, and that is that people like to stick to what they're good at and stay inside of, you called it the comfort zone. And in a lot of my webinars, I talk about that. I draw a box and I say most of us live in this box, and I call it the comfort zone box. And the fact of the matter is that the way the internet has changed business, it really does not allow for us the opportunity to live inside of that little comfort zone. And I'll give you a lot of examples why, but if you were, let's just say that your passion and what you love to do, okay, was working in retail, right? And there's a ton of people that love to do that. They love the interaction with people. Retail is slowly dying, right? I mean, it's bad. It's actually quickly dying now. There's less and less and less and less and less retail stores. And it's because the internet is pushing them out. The internet is changing the way that we do business. And when you look at just the way that business is done on the internet today versus even when I got started, now you have the social media revolution, right? Where Facebook and Instagram are changing the way that we do business. If you were a news anchor or a news reporter, or you wrote articles for a newspaper, you've had to get outside of that comfort zone and outside of that box, because guess what? Now news hits Twitter before a newspaper can ever get to your front door. And so the way that I look at it is that the best way to eliminate the fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone and stepping outside of this little box that you're comfortable in is understanding that it's a necessity for growth. It's a necessity to sustain yourself, because the internet has made the world change so quickly that if we ever get stuck inside of this little comfort zone for too long of a period of time, we become obsolete. So you're always having to change, you're always having to innovate, you're always having to adapt to your surroundings, which really means create new comfort zones, right? New little boxes that you can live in along the way. And so I think when people realize it's a necessity and not an option, they start to look at it from a different perspective. It's kind of like if you were driving down the highway and you saw a car, kind of turned over, right? You instantly, like fight or flight, like you instantly say, I got to help the people that are in this car. And you just kind of spring into action and you just take over. But if someone were to give you that scenario, on a podcast like this, you would stop and you would think about it and you would think, geez, I don't think I would know what to do, or I don't think I would know how to do it. And you would start to analyze so much that you might talk yourself out of doing it. I feel like when we have that necessity, right, to do something, that we just figure it out, right? That's just human nature. We're going to figure out what it is we don't know. And I think that people need to look at business in general, and especially internet businesses, in that light. It's a necessity to change with the times, because the times are changing even if you don't.
Yeah, so what you're really talking about, and I'm going to try and translate this into the way I perceive it. You're talking about the cost of inaction, which is the necessity, right? So kind of recognizing that, look, if I don't accept this change, if I don't move forward, I'm going to get swallowed, by the market or something, or just things are going to change and I'm going to be left behind. And then having also the confidence, as you said, to figure it out. Now, this is another quality that I observe in many top performers that I've interviewed, that I've ever hung out with, is they do have that. They have the ability to look into the unknown, to look down this really dark, long, hallway where they know they got pitfalls and traps, awaiting, and they know they'll figure it out. Having kind of like in the Indiana Jones, the third movie, when he takes a step forward, over the abyss, and he kind of steps on the firm ground there because it's an illusion. Like, that's what they have. But once again, this took me years to cultivate to a very low level, and even today, the one driver I use to motivate myself into action is actually, fear of the consequence that come from the inaction, because that seems to drive me more. So, what are you more driven by? Is it the gaining pleasure, the excitement of creation? Is it the fear of failure? What is it?
I think for me, I like building things. I think it's the thrill of the success more so than the fear of missing out. People call it FOMO, right? I don't have a lot of FOMO in my life. I think for me, it's the thrill of being able to succeed and to build something from scratch and to do it at a high level. And I remember when I started my first business, it was selling auto parts. I never, for me, the excitement and the thrill and the driving force behind my action was just simply recognizing why I was doing it. You hear people tell everybody to figure out their why, all the time. That's a very popular, statement with all personal development teachers and internet marketer teachers. Figure out your why, figure out your why. Well, I mean, the reality is that sometimes the cliches are just true. I mean, if you figure out why you really are wanting to do this, then you can kind of build your business based on that. So for me, it was all about helping my parents. So the more that I could help my parents, the happier I was, and the more excited I was, and the more gratification that I got from my business. And so it of course motivated me, right? Now, some people will say their real reason why they want to start a business is they want a Lamborghini, right? So when they buy one, they feel the sense of accomplishment. And I think as entrepreneurs, we are always striving for that sense of accomplishment, that ability to look in the mirror and say, I did that, I did this, I did it at a high level, I'm successful. And I think once you figure out the reason why you've started a business, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, you're trading your time, right, for this experience as an entrepreneur. And so when you figure out the reason why, you start to look at your results and how it affects other people or how it affects your own lifestyle. And it gives you more determination, more drive, and more fire to wake up in the morning and do it all over again and do it at even a higher level.
When I was interviewing Robert Kiyosaki, he mentioned something similar. He said, "Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for the new car or for the big mansion. Do it for someone else. Do it for another person. Because when you hold yourself accountable to the people you love the most, you leave no chance to failure. You don't take any excuses, at face value. You just do whatever it takes."
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that doing things for other people, at least for me, is more gratifying than doing it for myself. And I think that there's probably a vein in all of us that feel the same way. We want to help other people. That's why you see when tragedies and things hit, and the world sees it, people spring into action from all over the world, and they make donations or they donate their time and they want to help. And so when you can, reach out and help people you care about, there's going to be a little more meaning, a little more, definition to what you're doing than, hey, I want a Lamborghini or a new house. And so I think that anytime you start off doing something for someone else, you're probably going to have a bigger determination to succeed.
Yo, it's Igor. If you're loving the content, hop on over to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com for more free training and a free transcript of this episode. Oh, and I'd really appreciate if you logged into iTunes and rated the show. It really helps. Thanks. It's interesting you mentioned donations because few people know this. I know few people know this because I've been studying you. I've been following you since you launched, I think it was the mobile economy on ClickBank like years ago when I was just getting started. Or maybe it was your brother, I don't remember. But, I only recently found out that when the hurricane hit, and I know it happens occasionally over there in the U.S., but one of those times when the hurricane hit, you donated $15,000 to a family who got, really beaten up by the hurricane and got in trouble. And you actually donated $15,000 out of your own pocket to a complete stranger.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think that was probably an article you read about Joplin, Missouri. It was actually a tornado that went through. There was a huge tornado, like might as well have been a hurricane. It was worse than a hurricane, and it just demolished Joplin, Missouri. And it was all over the news, all over the media, and people were trying to help. And so we went there and we located a family. I'll never forget I walked in the hospital and the guy was there. He had broken hand and was really screwed up, but his wife had a tree branch literally impale her leg all the way through. It was just through her leg. And so my brother and I both donated some money to help them. But then we also, one thing that I love to do is to, I mean, look, we can afford to help them ourselves, right? But I also think that when you get other people involved, and when you give other people the opportunity to have their eyes opened to the fact that they can help people, and that as a community and as a society, if we choose to help people, we can. We reached out to our Success Connection group, so my training that I do with my students every week, and we had them actually donate some money as well. I gave away some courses, they donated some money, and together, between Adrian and myself, and then our students, we raised like $15,000, and we were able to help them, to get them a new vehicle, because their car they didn't even know where it was gone. But being able to do that kind of stuff, I feel like that's a good. It's also grounding. It makes you realize that when you're successful, you don't have to have the $50,000 watch just to make yourself feel accomplished or happy. You can take that money and help other people. And, a lot of people will tell you, well, don't have, by no means am I sitting here saying that we don't have expensive cars and jewelry and stuff like that, because we do. But I think that it's also important, and just as equally important, to remember that when you can afford that kind of stuff for yourself, and you're having success, to to try to use your money and your influence to help people that that need it most.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, anyone who's been watching your videos knows you drive a Rolls Royce, you invest in real estate, etc. But still, most people who make a lot of money, again, at least from the circles that I've been to, and from circles that you're probably part of as well, most people don't go out of their own way to save a family. Especially at the moment when that family needs it most. A lot of times people do it when it's convenient for them, but not so much when the other person really needs it.
I think that there's also good. I think that we all get caught up, especially internet marketers. We're attached to our business all day long, and I think that we get caught up in what we're doing, and we don't necessarily always see the opportunity to help people, and we don't always recognize that opportunity is passing by. When it's brought to our attention, I think that the people in our industry are really good about remembering where they came from, about remembering that helping people is important. A few years ago, I think maybe 3 years ago or so, maybe 4, there was a little boy in my hometown that he had been battling cancer. I think he had leukemia, I think, for his 3rd time. And I can't remember how old he was, man. He was just a baby, 4 years old, maybe 3. And his parents were kind of torn between live in the hospital with him or leave him at the hospital, and they'd still have to work. They still had to pay their bills. Not to mention the hospital bills, but certainly just their regular bills. And, their businesses were working with them and stuff. But what I did was I brought it to the attention of our community, the internet marketing community, and the people that I know. And we raised, I believe it was close to $40,000 for that kid, just from a few emails that I sent out and Facebook. And we were able to give his parents, $40,000. We were able to allow them to spend the last year of his life with him instead of, at a job, and really just, overall peace of mind and relieve stress. So I think it's just a matter of bringing it to people's attention, right? But I think innately the people in our industry are good people. They just they're so busy chasing the next opportunity or the next trend that sometimes we remove ourselves from society and from what's going on around us. So anytime somebody kind of kicks us back into reality, I think that innately we're good people, and we try to do what we can to help people.
Yeah, I see the truth in that. I mean, I myself have been known to kind of close myself off from the outer world. Especially when I'm working on a new project or something. Like, I really don't like going outside. I mean, the most I'll go outside is probably like across the street to a coffee shop, to an Israeli coffee shop here. And yeah, you're right that we are getting really good at building a wall around ourselves. in order not to have the outside world to distract us from the thing that we're really passionate about, which is, creating marketing, which is, again, kind of counterintuitive, because the reason we got into the business in many ways is, about helping other people. For me, it was also about my parents, because I'm a son to an immigrant family, and my parents immigrated to Israel when I was 12 from Ukraine. For the next 10 years, we suffered pretty much like every single day, and my parents ended up deep in debt by the time I was a teenager, in my late teens. So just like you, I had to step up and kind of pull everyone by their ears. And eventually I did it after a few years, after about 5 years or so. But what I noticed that over time, unlike you, I kind of took more steps to get away from that and just focus on the business, because I realized that that's what's keeping everyone fed and warm and secure. Anyway, so I know we don't have much time left, unfortunately. You're a very busy guy. But I do know that you also have a free training in store for the list builders. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Look, one of the things that I always look to do is help people do what I'm doing, right? I don't like to teach people that, a lot of people will teach things that they're not really doing. I know you teach solo ads, you actually do solo ads. And I feel like that's the best mentor, that's the best teacher, that's the best trainer, that's the best education you're ever going to get, because you're getting it from someone who's doing it and living it every day. So for me, what I'm really good at is building an email list, and then building out a monetization sequence, something that monetizes that email list over the course of 2 to 3 years, not 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months, but 2 to 3 years. So that as you build your email list, that 6 months from now, 8 months from now, a year and a half from now, you're still going to have the opportunity to be making money from that email list. I've always looked at email marketing as a long-term play. I've always looked at it as an asset, and I've always looked at it as a sustainable business. And it is, if you understand the ways to monetize that list and how to do it over the long term and how to have it all set up, ready to go. So what I'm doing on this webinar is I'm going to show you my 8-figure formula. I was, Russell Brunson called me and said, hey, look, we've got this award for you. We want you to come out to this ClickFunnels event. And that was earlier in the year, and we've got this 8-figure award. And so I flew out and I got this 8-figure award, and I thought it was, kind of cool. I got a ring too, which is pretty dope. So everything was pretty cool. But this 8-figure, it sparked my interest, and that's what I love what Russell does, and I love what ClickFunnels does, because they're always sparking my interest to do more things. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I have this 8-figure funnel. It's duplicatable. It's something I can teach people how to do, right? And so why don't I do that? And that's what I'm doing on this webinar. I'm showing you how I constructed this 8-figure funnel. It all, of course, starts with building your list, and then how you can literally tap into and use that same funnel, because it is built out and it is 2 to 3 years long. And so that's what we're doing on the webinar. It's great. It's a great opportunity for people who are brand new to list building to get in and do it right from day one. And then, of course, for the listeners that have an email list already, or they've been doing this for a while, it's a great way to increase the monetization, or to learn maybe how to do what you're doing at a higher level, and at a more successful level in terms of ROI. So that's what we're doing, man. It's a great webinar. It's a great training, and I'm excited to have some of your listeners and your students on there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you hit on the right audience, because we're over here. We're all about list building, email marketing, long-term profits, big money from small lists, and of course, 7, 6, and 8-figure funnels. Although 8-figure funnels are probably as rare as unicorns. So, guys, if you would like to find out more about Anthony's 8-figure funnel, and also not just that, but probably if you'd like to copy that funnel completely too, because you will be presented with an opportunity to do so, then you need to go and watch the free training at igorsolowitz.com/Anthony. Okay, that's igorsolowitz.com/Anthony. Go there. It's a free training for you. Okay, watch it, check it out, see the 8-figure funnel. Get the formula, and if you want, of course, take Anthony up on the opportunity to copy the funnel. And just so you guys know, we are running traffic to that funnel. This funnel has been used for some time now, and this funnel converts. So nothing like a converting funnel, trust me. So Again, you go to igorsolowitz.com/Anthony, grab the free training, check it out. It's really worth your time if you're trying to build an income using list building and email marketing right now, but you suck at building 8-figure funnels, which is most likely the case. So, Anthony, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I appreciate you sharing the value and giving us some insights into your journey, into the way you think, and into the reasons behind your success. So, list builders, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time we chat, have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to previous episodes, the transcript of today's show, and exclusive content at our website at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also, don't forget to claim your free seat at the traffic workshop I'm conducting this week, where I'm showing how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers without losing money, and how my clients are putting anywhere from 50 to 500 new leads per day on their list at a profit without any list building experience. Just go to igor.cx to claim your free seat now.